East Melbourne's a pretty traditional area of Melbourne. I think it's a home of some very grand Victorian architecture and residences. It's surrounded by kind of verdant green space and predominantly kind of residential neighbourhood. This is a pretty significant building. It was designed by Joseph Reed in 1864. In the 70s, it was kind of carved up into four, so one large singular residence to four smaller townhouses. My name's Hamish Guthrie. I'm a principal at Hecker Guthrie. Together with Josh Watt and the team in the studio, I'm responsible for the design of the home we're in today. The client came to us with a pretty open brief. Really, what they really wanted to do was kind of unlock the full potential of the house. They came to us with some challenges that were kind of addressed through design, but I think that kind of endeavour to unlock the full potential and really kind of create a bespoke design which really was kind of centred around how they wanted to live in the space as something that kind of reflected their lifestyles. There were certain kind of cues that we kind of take from the original architecture that certainly kind of lent itself to our approach to new parts of the building or the new approach to the design of the space. There were those kind of key references of the arched windows through the exterior of the building. And for that, I think that gave us some really kind of strong cues on how to kind of create those connections internally within the space. There's a subtle kind of manipulation of the interior walls and openings, which again almost allude to the fact that they were almost always there, always part of the design, whilst in fact they're kind of more contemporary interventions to bring light deeper into the space, whilst also kind of allowing a more openness and connectedness to space as well. Each space is so inherently kind of connected directly to each other. I think it became really important that we didn't want these spaces to feel too prescriptive in their function. We didn't want necessarily a kitchen to look like a kitchen, but more to create a series of rooms which had a really kind of nice connection to each other, whilst having different functions, we're kind of seamlessly kind of connected through materiality and form, but in a way that it really wasn't so prescriptive in terms of defining each space and separating one space from the other. We've used Artedomus product quite extensively through the project, from the Selenus marble, which is, I guess, the hero of the entryway, the kitchen and the ensuite of the home. Whilst being kind of reasonably kind of neutral, it certainly has a kind of formality to it. And I think marble automatically kind of elevates a space and the kind of the expression of space. We've also used the Hecker product through the key wet areas of the home.
Hecker became famous, I suppose, nearly 30 years ago when they designed what I think is the world's first contemporary freestanding bath, and that was called the Spoon. Then, many years later, Hecker did a modern interpretation of the clawfoot bath, and that's what we see here with the Ottocento bath. It's a classic design, it's very elegant. You can use it in an old house like this, but you can also use it in a very minimalist, modern, contemporary setting. The Hecker Beyond Pedestal Basin is a real design classic. It was actually designed in 1970 by the notable Italian architect Angelo Mangiarotti. Back in 1970 it was for Capellini, and it was a glazed planter pot in its exact same form as we see today. The guest bathroom upstairs is completely lined in a beautiful dark green extruded tile from a very old factory in Dreamy in Japan.
So the approach to the formal bedroom and the volume of space that was discovered, for us, I think that availed itself to an amazing opportunity. How do we kind of embrace that volume in a slightly different way than we had at the more formal aspect of the room down in the main living area, but in a way that was kind of meaningful what the client wanted to achieve. You know, they wanted to kind of potentially kind of get that mezzanine element of study. They wanted to achieve more robe and amenity of storage through that space. And then by kind of embracing that height, it kind of freed up all these opportunities to kind of do that. The colour was, I guess, the next way of kind of embracing it. How do we kind of tie those kind of two aspects of the room? One, the more formal elements of the room at lower level with the windows and the openings and skirting boards. Then that kind of next level of what we'd kind of discovered and kind of formed in the ceiling of the space. I think the thing I'm happiest or proudest of with this home, I think, is the way that it ties together. I think, again, it's got a really kind of interesting from the 1860s through a 70s intervention and then up to, I guess, the more recent work that we've kind of carried out. And I think starting from the brief, which was to kind of have this kind of home resonating with the way that the clients really wanted to kind of live in it, I think now there's a real kind of purpose around giving each room purpose and giving each room a reason for kind of being in. And I think from the start of the day through to kind of the end of the day, and I think there's that kind of use of the home, which I think is really successful.